without licenses, or what is it they're operating with right now?
Yeah, 22 of the fish farm leases in the Broughton Archipelago, so that's the vast majority, do not have valid leases right now. They expired, some of them 2 years ago, and these farms have all applied to get larger and to grow more fish and have a 20-year tenure. So if we're seeing critical impact right now, and these farms want to expand, that has given me the clear picture that the provincial government and the fish farming industry do not understand what's going on. They do not take seriously what's happening. I didn't take this step lightly, going to court. It's very expensive. It's a great personal risk of mine. I'm personally responsible for the fees here, but I cannot watch these salmon go down on my watch. They're just too valuable.
You know, the interesting thing is there's a win-win situation here for the farms with closed containment. We've got one experiment going, one model actually going ahead in Middle Bay, but the farms are always negative about closed containment because they've had some failures in the past. And I believe that the model in Middle Bay and Campbell River with the closed containment fiberglass tanks is going to show that it's possible. They've been able to, because they're floating, they don't have the power costs. And I think that if this is successful, we could lead the way in aquaculture in the whole world. But we've somehow got to get the farmers off this "I can't do it, it won't work" idea. And so that's one of the things that we're working on, is to try and get their head set around that, just like it was with Ralph Nader and safe cars in the 70s. The industry said, no, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And the government legislated it, and what do we got? Safe cars. They sold more than ever before. I think the same thing can happen with closed containment and aquaculture. Thanks.
The Fraser River
Hey.
the Fraser River fry go up Johnson Strait?
Yeah, the majority of Fraser River sockeye and other species go up north past Campbell River. Now some stocks do go to the south, and they're finding that the ones that migrate out the Strait of Juan de Fuca are doing much better, coming back in much bigger numbers than the ones that go north. So, you know, it's not just sea lice, it's IHN, it's furunculosis, it's bacterial kidney disease. It's very serious, all the things that go on these farms.
How many fish farms do you think there are from Campbell River to the Broughton?
From Campbell River through the Broughton, well, from Campbell River to the Pacific Ocean, there's probably about 40, because there's a belt off Port Hardy, then there's the cluster of 20 or more in the Broughton, and then there's another cluster around the Campbell River area. So over 1/3 of Canada's salmon go that route when there's warm water offshore, which is happening more and more. So it doesn't make sense to cite all the fish farms where you've got your major wild runs. It's absolute Russian roulette. It's very, 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 very careless.
Who owns the majority of these farms?
The majority of these farms are owned by Norwegian corporations or even the Norwegian government. In the Broughton Archipelago, it's Marine Harvest Canada and Mainstream, which is called Cermaq. And there's one farm in the Broughton owned by Grieg Seafoods.
Are they diversified into any other industry, like hydro or oil exploration?
I really don't know, but Norsk Hydro is the one who started fish farming in Norway. Stolt, who fish farmed for years in the Broughton Archipelago, actually their big business is servicing oil wells. So I always wonder about the connections. Why would you turn wild salmon off? If you wanted to do something with the rivers, certainly wild salmon are in the way.
Thank you. Give us your gut feelings about fish farming in general. Just let her hang out.
Yeah, well, I'm astonished that it's got this far. You know, I've been sort of on the thing right from the very beginning. I went up to see Alex a long time ago, took a look at it, and as time went by, I simply couldn't understand why the government was not doing anything. And I sometimes questioned myself, you know, Rafe, have you missed something? Well, the fact is I hadn't missed anything. And all of the independent science in the whole world is on Alex's side or on the side of the salmon. And I think she's reached the tipping point. I think from now on, she's going to start getting more and more momentum, not just because of this, but because of all the other environmental issues that are springing up. The issue out in Tsawwassen with the wires, the South Fraser perimeter road, the Save Our Rivers, which I happen to be a spokesman for, the tubing of BC Hydro, the privatizing of BC Hydro. All of these things are coming up at once, and I think the government's going to have to either pay a lot of attention, and I didn't think I'd ever be able to see this in the last 3 or 4 years. If they don't, I think they could be in trouble.
Why do you think the feds and the provincial government are both disregarding all the scientific evidence?
Well, the federal government, that's old stuff for them. To them, the Pacific fishery has been a pain in the ass since we came into Confederation. There are no political brownie points to be gained by anything that they do. So they've wanted to unload this responsibility for eons, even back when I was Environment Minister in 1979. And so that's why they've done it, I'm sure. And of course, the provincial government just sees this as a way to generate income. They don't see it as fish values or anything like it. And I think Alex is right that I think she's going to win this case, and I hope she does. Having done that, the struggle has only just begun, because they're going to have to then get the DFO to take part and do their duty. But this is the first step, and I think it's the right step.